Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more F1 League racing action once again. Today we are here for the British Grand Prix in the Apex Online Racing League, of course, on PC and in top split. Now, as you guys know, I lead the championship, and if you missed the previous episode, then I'll leave that linked up in the top right hand corner of your screen for the Austrian Grand Prix. We arrive here at Silverstone, and this is my home Grand Prix, but real quick guys, we're going to try it and see if we can improve, because, you know, I feel like we've been slacking off a little bit recently, so I'm hopeful to do better this weekend. And I want to mention, unfortunately, with the footage I grabbed from the live stream, for some reason there's no game sound, so I'm actually going to keep the volume very quiet this one, and you're going to just be hearing my voice. I'll try not to annoy you too much and talk too much. So if you're going to enjoy today's video guys, slap a like on it, subscribe for more, and let's get the weekend underway. Here we go then, another weekend in the AOR season, approaching the midway stage of the season now, and this is Silverstone, so my home Grand Prix, and I'm hoping to do well, but there's going to be other drivers hoping to do well as well, so it's going to be competitive out here. I was pretty quick last season on F1 2019 around this track, so I'm kind of feeling, you know, somewhat optimistic about my pace. This is currently the end of my first time lap in qualifying, and we run up to the line setting a 24.2, which isn't too bad. We go second place behind Andy. The target for qualifying is to get into the 123s at least, so we've got a bit of time to find. So lap one done and dusted in the books. We're now going to move on to my second time lap, and I was a tenth and a half up here actually, so this one was going a lot better, and we've just got the final chicane and the final corner to navigate. Currently P6, so we need to improve here. They got kind of move a bit up the order as we go through the final corner, and we're going to improve by near enough just under 2.5 tenths of a second, and we jump back up to P3 and into the 123s, so a very strong second lap. And to be fair, that lap was near enough perfect. I didn't really think there was much more time in it. But this was my best lap of qualifying. So let's go on board for a full lap. I'm going to commentate this one due to the lack of engine sound, of course, on the game. So first of all, the final corner. Important to get a nice exit and start the lap off right. Flat out through 1 and 2, of course. Make sure you try and cut as much of the curb as possible. Then get ready for turn 3. Fourth gear on entry just before the 50-meter board. I run a bit wide there, missing my apex and getting a bit of oversteer as well. And generally speaking, it's been a bit of a scruffy first sector, but we do recover a little bit on the exit and make up a bit of lost time. So we're just a fraction down in sector 1 as we get into Brooklands here. 6th gear and then down to 5th and then eventually 4th. Try and open up the right hander of Luffield as well. Trying to be really aggressive with the gears and then quickly back on the gas using all the curb on the exit there to really maximize your exit speed, and cutting across Woodcut and now across the old pit straight into Cops Corner. Easy flat through here, 8th gear, no dramas, and well within the track limits. And now Maggots and Beckett's full commitment, flat out through the first one, flat out through the second, small lift for the third and a downshift, and then keep the car tight through the right to really open up the left as we go through Chapel. And we set a purple middle sector, and we do improve a little bit. We're finding a bit of time, but we're still marginally down as failures. It's a 23.7, which is a ridiculous lap. Now going through Stowe, carrying the speed on the exit, and now the final chicane, just tipping the car in, trying to find every bit of lap time that I can. And to be fair, we get a really good bit of traction out of here, and we find a bit more lap time running across the start finish, and we improve by just half a tenth. Unfortunately, no change on the positions, but still a decent lap, a clean lap, and you know, I felt like I was lacking a bit of pace in qualifying over one lap, so I'll take it. In the end, we finished P4, failure on pole, war on P2, and the best I could have done was maybe beat Andonator. If you remember, my first sector was a bit poor. I lost a bit of time, so that would have been the only possible place I could have found a bit of time. So P3 was definitely on the cards, but for now we'll settle for 4th place. Only 11 drivers here today, and Rainbow opting to not qualify at all, and my teammate Florian Napik up in P6. So it's good to see we're both in the mix, and hopefully we can try and use that in the race and try and score a few points and extend our lead in the constructors. But guys, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race. Here we go then, getting ready for the start of the race towards the end of the formation lap. And one thing that happened actually, everyone went for the mediums and I went for soft tyres. So we are on a bit of an inverted strategy here, you could say, to everybody else, and that's going to make things quite interesting. So here we go, the lights are on for the British Grand Prix, lights out and away we go, and it's a great launch on the soft tyres. We try to go to the right, Ron gives us a bit of a squeeze down to the left, and we almost have contact there with Andy on the left hand side, but luckily we do just about clear the Mercedes, who goes back up the inside of turn 3. We've got Failer and Warren battling out front, and we're going to try and make this move here as we get a big tank snapper there and oversteer through turn 4. Down the inside though, we're going to just about try and edge ahead of Andy, but he's coming back at us down the straight, so we're going to have to try and hang it on the inside here. Very narrow entry line, but we're going to try and make it work anyways, and leaving a bit of room at all times as Failer and Warren also battle away just in front, but we're just going to get that drive and that traction on these soft tyres to make the move and take P3 from the Mercedes as Warren goes out front for the race lead here in the very first lap of the British Grand Prix already. So job done as we gain 1 place off the start, and we've got Failer in front of us in the McLaren as we head through the S's for the first time this race. And you can see the grip difference on these soft tyres as we're flying onto the back of the McLaren here, and we're going to try and get by straight away and get down to work. So Rich Mix overtake, we're going to pull to the right hand side and get past the McLaren, getting a nice run on Warren as well. We're going to go down the inside into Stowe and pick up 2nd place, and just like that, job done already up into the top 2. And exactly what we need on this very first lap of the Grand Prix. A bit hot on the brakes there into the chicane, but we get it corrected, and there we go. So lap 1 draws to a close. Scrippy retires from the race, and Warren leads. We are up to P2, and that's exactly what we need as we head into the start of the 2nd lap here in this race. And we get a virtual safety car, actually, I believe, from Scrippy's retirement. So it's going to give a temporary pause to the race, and that could give us an advantage because we've got the soft tyres on, so we could potentially have a bit of a pace advantage over everyone around us. And as we get towards the end of the VSC period here, I tried to have a bit of a look, but Warren prepared himself quite nicely and got a really nice run out of there. To be fair, we almost got 1 second gap on Failer, but he was actually using a lot of energy, I believe, to get back within a second. We then move, though, onto lap 3. DRS is now enabled, and we are here tucked in behind Warren, and we are going to try and go for this move. So here we go then. DRS, Rich Mix, and a bit of overtake as well. We're going to have to go to the outside as Warren goes defensive. Now down towards Stowe, just about trying that around the outside, but we can't quite make it work. We try and get a cut back, but Warren defends well and holds the line. So we're going to have to be patient for now as we head on towards the end of lap 3. A couple of purple sectors in my name, and I've definitely got the pace. You know, these soft tyres are so quick, and we need to make the most of them. So we need to get past if possible here as Failer sets a new fastest lap. On to lap 4 then. Through the first couple of corners, I thought about having a bit of a dive there down the inside, and Warren actually makes a bit of an error running it a bit hot. That compromises his line through the 4th corner, and I try and get the exit there. We didn't quite get the perfect traction, but we are in the wheel tracks as we try to make an overtake here. DRS, Rich Mix, and overtake. We're going to have to go to the outside again as we go into Brooklands here, side by side with the Red Bull of Warren, who gives me a bit of a squeeze, and now into Lovefield. There's contact. We lose the back end, and we go for a half spin across the grass, and that is not ideal by any means, and we're going to lose a bunch of places as we drop down to P6. And unfortunately, all of our hard work has been undone, and we're going to have to try and recover and get back on it. After the race, Warren did apologise to me. I decided to not report him for it. I thought about it, but it was like a bit of a racing incident, but also I got squeezed quite a lot. And also the final race result didn't mean too much anyway. So we move on to lap 6. Now, Florian's actually having a pretty good race, my teammate, and I thought we could work together to try and get in this race. So I had the pace, of course, on the soft tyres, and we agreed to do the switch on the hanger straight. So Florian lets me go by, he doesn't defend, and we move up to P5. And now I'm going to try and drag him along with me as we close up to the front 4, who are really close on track and are battling a little bit. So I'm going to try and see if I can get my teammate into the race whilst also getting myself back in the mix. That's the plan. So here we go then, across the start and finish, and we are going to set a purple final sector and a new personal best and fastest lap. So setting that pace and trying to catch up to these guys up ahead. The delta to Andy, I believe, glitches out at this point, so it stays on 1.3 for the next lap or so. We set another strong lap there. Florian sticking with us, so we're dragging him along. And now lap 9, this is when I decided to pull the trigger. So I didn't have DRS, but I'm not too far away. I'm about a second behind of the cars ahead. They're all battling away at the minute, so I thought this was a good time for me to actually box. So we are going to pit in for some medium tyres and go for an undercut. So into the pit lane, I'm trying to push, and I go a bit too much, and that's actually speed. I was very surprised at the time. If we watch it back on the replay, you can see here, we're going to pause it at the white line, and I'm a little bit over the speed limit. But if you look at the distance tab at the top of the screen, when it hits 0 meters, I have actually hit the speed limit. So a bit of a grey area there. I have reported this to the stewards. I'm still waiting for a decision. I might get a reverse on that, and I might get those 5 seconds removed. So if anything does happen, I'll let you guys know in the next episode. Also, for good measure, we get held up in the pits by Michael Tanita and the Williams. In hindsight, I wish I'd just pit the next lap, to be honest, but that's just the way, you know, when it doesn't go for you, it doesn't go for you. So obviously I sped, and then Michael pits and I get held. So it's like a misery compiler, basically a double bad luck moment. So we're going to have to get on with it anyways. So I wasn't annoyed, you know, I was pretty calm, to be honest. Even after the spin, I kept my head pretty cool, and I just got on with it, basically. So lap 10, 16 laps to go, and straight away we started putting in those purple laps as we set a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And currently running in P8. I'm trying to make some progress in this stint, so lap time is key, and we're trying to go as fast as possible. We then move on to the end of lap 13. Personal best, first sector, fastest middle sector, as we set yet another fastest lap. And just trying to make sure we get the undercut to work, because I've lost a bit of time due to being held in the pit. So I need to go twice as fast to make the undercut work now. So as you can see, lap 14, we've now got some cars in the pit lane, including my teammate. So we're going to see where things are, where everybody is once these pit stops are done. So going through turn 1, we are going to be just ahead of Failer and Paris. So the undercut has worked. Warren stays out for another lap, as does Rainbow. Warren had a bit of an incident. I believe he had a spin, and he dropped out from battling from the race lead and dropped down to, I believe, P5, P6. So, yeah, Warren lost a bit of time. He dropped behind Rainbow, actually. Either way, at the end of lap 15, I quickly realised there was no point in battling. Failer also sped into the pit lane. The soft tyres were just a lot quicker, and both Failer and Paris just breezed past. There was no point in me fighting this. The plan was simple. Try and hang on to the back of these guys and maybe fight back at the end of the race. You know, that was what I was kind of hoping for. That's all I can hope for, really, because I don't have the pace in these tyres. Even though I'm running at a very strong pace, the soft tyres are just a lot quicker. So we've got a few cars in the pit lane anyways, and that includes Warren. And I believe someone else, I think, I could be wrong, we've got Rainbow in the pit lane as well. So there's Andy in the Mercedes on the pit exit. We just about get ahead of him. So right now, net P3, the undercut has worked pretty well if you exclude the 5-second penalty that I picked up for speeding. So we're in the mix, and that's what that matters, because as you saw with me, I had a bit of an incident with Warren, so there could always be contact. So it's important to just be in the mix and pick up the pieces when things do happen. But again, just like last lap, Andy's a lot quicker on those soft tyres, and there was no point in me really battling. So I actually just pulled over to the left-hand side and let him have it, because there's no point in me wasting ERS and fuel trying to fight. You know, the target was simple: try and stay within the DRS of the 2 cars ahead, and we're going to try and do our best. So this is the current order. This top 4, things aren't going to change much at this point. I'm just going to try and make sure I stay with them, because their pace is really strong. We set a few personal bests for a few consecutive laps. So you'll see now, lap after lap after lap, I was actually pretty strong. And the strongest car out of these guys was definitely Andy. He looked really, really fast. Paris currently with the fastest lap, but you see that gets taken away by Warren, his teammate, who's a bit further back. So Florian Nepik, my teammate, running in P5, and I'm in P4. It's the best we can do at the minute, unfortunately. You know, I was hoping Florian could catch up maybe to me and run in DRS. I could drag him towards these guys, but I couldn't afford to drop out of DRS. So it was kind of a tricky balancing act, which I wasn't able to pull off. We still are setting personal bests, you know, most laps, and I'm trying to push on here. But you can see Andy out front. He's really stretching Fader and Paris with him, and that's making it really hard for me to hang on. And worth noting as well, behind, I've got my 5-second penalty, and Florian actually gets overtaken by Rainbow. And Rainbow is flying. His soft tyres were really fresh. He had a lot of pace. And as you see the gap at the moment, he's within range to challenge. So heading on to the last lap here, we could lose this P4. So we're going to try and push. You can see in the last lap of the race, Rainbow just over 5 seconds of drift, but he is really quick on those soft compound tyres. I tried my best, you know, but unfortunately right here, I dropped out of DRS for the first time. I just wasn't able to hang on to the guys ahead. And DRS was so important because I was actually running out of fuel in the RS again. So I really, really needed that, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. And you can see Rainbow, he's actually closing in now. 4.8 is the gap as he gets closer and closer. We're going to throw the car in, though, through these final couple of corners to just try and extend our gap. And he's going to win it. It's going to be second place for Paris. Failer will get third, and we're going to finish P4, but that eventually becomes P5, as unfortunately Rainbow does just get me on the line and he had enough pace to hang on. So in the end, P5 for us. If that penalty gets removed, that becomes a P3. So I'm kind of hopeful that I might get a bit of luck and the stewards might go on my side. If that's the case, we'll finish on the podium, and that's another one for us. If not, P5, it is what it is. We move on to the next race and go again. Florian finishes P6, so, you know, a relatively decent double points finish for us, which is pretty good. Andy scores maximum points for Mercedes ahead of Paris and Failer then, and Rainbow gets his first points, I believe, in P4. Then we've got Warren P7 after his incident. He finishes a bit further down. Christian Sendel, Brownie, and Michael Tanita round out the top 10, and with that, we're going to move to the championship standings. So first of all, the drivers, and we still lead up front. We're 25 points clear of Andy, 26 points clear of Paris, and 34 points clear of Brownie. So we're well out front, and we've got a race win in our pocket, which is great. I'm the first man to break the 100-point barrier, and hopefully we can try and bounce back in the next race and have a solid weekend and try and do better. So yeah, at the minute, we're okay. We can afford to have a bit of a bad race. If I do get that podium, you know, and get my penalty removed, that will be an extra, I think 5 points, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll happily take that. In terms of the constructors, we're still leading the way, but it's extremely close, and the top 5 teams covered by 29 points, which is absolutely nothing. So it's all still to play for in, you know, both championships, to be honest with you. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it from me here today for this episode and the British Grand Prix in the AOR League. If you guys enjoyed it, slap a like on it, subscribe if you are new, guys, for more content like this on the channel, and finally check out the previous episode on screen along with another random video, as you might find them informative and you might enjoy them. But guys, thank you for watching, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you all next time. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.